Today's episode is an interview with Allie Xu, the Chinese Medicine Pharmacist. She's an Australian pharmacist, entrepreneur, holistic health coach, period pride advocate, and Chinese medicine student. You're listening to the Pharmacist Voice Podcast, a journey-style podcast about my career change from pharmacist to voice actor. I'm your host, Kim Newlove. I alternate solo shows and interview shows. The solo shows are about my career change, and the interview shows feature a variety of people who use their voices to advocate, educate, or entertain. I specialize in medical narration and e-learning. If you have a project in mind, contact me through my website, thepharmacistvoice.com. Thank you for joining me for episode 31. I need to make one quick announcement. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. This podcast should not be considered professional medical advice. Next, I'll tell you a little more about my guest, Allie Xu. Then we'll dive right into the interview. Allie was born and raised in a fourth-generation medical family in Shanghai, China, and moved to Australia when she was 15 years old. She's a registered pharmacist and holistic health coach. Currently, Allie is completing her Master of Chinese Medicine with a major in Acupuncture. As a holistic health coach, she is passionate about showing the connection between emotion, mind, and body. She uses Eastern and Western medicine philosophies and coaching methods to assist her clients to first notice imbalances and then work to achieve balance. The goal is to maintain optimal health and avoid chronic illness, both mental and physical, down the line. She is the founder of the Global Pharmacy Entrepreneur Community, the host of Pharmacy Entrepreneur TV on YouTube, and the host of Pharmacy Entrepreneur Podcast. Allie invites pharmacists from different parts of the world to network and develop an entrepreneur mindset and skills. Without further ado, here's my interview with Allie Xu. Hi, Dr. Allie Xu. Welcome to the Pharmacist Voice Podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Kim, for inviting me.
My pleasure. Now, I invited you on the show because I would like to find out how you use your voice to advocate, educate, or entertain, or all three.
Yeah, great. Great question. Thank you. Well, I use my voice to advocate as well as educate and hopefully bring some entertainment to everybody who watch and listen to. So I'm an advocate for pharmacists around the world who feel trapped and frustrated in their traditional role. And there was a reason I founded the Global Pharmacy Entrepreneur Community, is to connect with innovative pharmacists from different parts of the world, help pharmacists who feel trapped or in the third world country who wanted to learn more and wanted to gain entrepreneur skills and mindset. And I believe that entrepreneur mindsets and skills can be acquired and developed. And my goal is to succeed as an entrepreneur and to become a healthier and happier me. At the same time, help my fellow pharmacists, fellow colleague to find their passion to be healthier and happier. Because we know, especially during COVID, pharmacists are experiencing burnout and pharmacists are experiencing emotional trauma, abused physically and mentally. And we health professionals provide care to the general public, to everybody, but who is providing care to us? So I want to create an environment to help pharmacists to heal, help pharmacists to build relationship and business that they love, help pharmacists to live a happier and healthier life, both mentally and physically.
That's great work. There's a lot of need for that right now. So what you're telling me is that in Australia, this burnout is something that Australian pharmacists experience as well. Is that right?
Yes. I believe after interviewing so many pharmacists from different parts of the world, I felt that we all experienced the same thing. We chose the career, we chose to be a health care professional because we care. We want to provide care. We want to help. We want to use our knowledge to help those in need. But because of the long work hours and intense concentration, making sure each medication goes out is 100% correct, making sure there's no drug interactions, making sure that we understand exactly what patients needs and provide that needs. And that takes a lot of energy out of us, especially after a long hour of work. And some pharmacists work 12-hour shifts standing up, and sometimes they work on the weekends or 40-hour, 50-hour week. That's huge for our own body, physically and mentally. So yeah, I see it's a common theme amongst all the pharmacists from different parts of the world to experience burnout. So the second thing I really want to address is I advocate for gender-based discrimination, humiliation, and oppression, especially for women. A most recent project I'm been working on is called Period Pride Project. Period stigma is real. And so despite every woman getting a period, it still remains one of the most taboo topics of conversation. And way too often, these taboo results in gender-based discrimination, humiliation, and oppression in different parts of the world. And I believe that speaking about this issue is the only way to combat the silence. Having a conversation is the only way to find innovative solution to do so.
I've got to say, that's a topic that I haven't heard get a lot of attention in the U.S. How did you get interested in helping with period pride and helping women not feel humiliated when they have their period?
I had the experience myself when I first had period. Happy to share on the podcast that I was humiliated for having a starting period. A boy reached out with my pad from my bag, announced to the world that I've started period. Now, I felt ashamed then. How I got into this project is I joined a global healthcare hackathon at University of Queensland. My team, so myself with 2 other medical students, we worked on the topic of coming up with a campaign to remove shame and stigma for a charity group in Australia called Share the Dignity. It's an Australian charity bringing dignity to homeless, at risk, and those experiencing domestic violence through the distribution of period products, and to set up educational projects and campaign around menstruation period. So we spoke to the founder, who is frustrated that even though the people donate enough pads and provide educational materials, women are still too ashamed to ask for these pads. So we really need to remove the shame and stigma around periods, and we want to start in our younger generation, schoolgirls aged 12 to 18, when they first have period. And, in Australia, 70% of girls would rather fail a subject than talk to their friends about period.
Why do you feel it's so important to have period pride and for girls not to feel ashamed of having their periods? I know you've had that personal experience where someone humiliated you, but for others, do you just want it to become a more commonplace topic? If someone wants to talk about it, they don't have to be ashamed of it?
Yeah. Period is a natural process of our body. It's part of us. It's who we are as women. And if we are too ashamed to talk about it, or if it's very common young girls filling they don't have pads but filling their underwear with toilet papers, or not, because of their shame that not finding the hygiene way to clean, or have all these stigmas around it, so they adopt practices that's harmful for them from a health perspective. And we definitely need to remove those shame and stigma And we see that a lot, and how important, I just want to address how important period is in a woman's life. A lot of pain involved, period pain. A lot of girls have cramps, but they're too ashamed to talk about period or use the word period. So they don't tell their parents, they don't tell their doctors, they just suffer, or they just not going to school for a few days or try to avoid the topics. But as health professionals, if we openly talk about this and all these girls and women feel comfortable to address those issues, comfortable to talk to each other and share ideas and share tips, and as well as being comfortable is to talk about the period around to their boys, to their sons, and to their husbands. So if I forgot my period pads or period items, I can ask my husband to go and fetch it for me, and it's totally fine. But if women are too ashamed of it, they just have to put up with it, the leakage or the shame and feeling insecure, not comfortable with their body. So I can see that it's not only from physical health wise, the hygiene, the physical wise, but also mentally, emotionally, they feel uncomfortable. They feel that they're not worthy. They feel not confident in themselves being in their own skin, bleeding.
Well, thanks for telling me about that. I feel enlightened. It's a problem that I'm not sure. I don't have teenage girls, and at that age, I can't remember what it was like. So thank you for drawing attention to it. It's going to get better, I think, with your help.
Period Pride hashtag is something all different peer projects, groups, or charities, everybody's been standing up using the Period Pride hashtag. So I'm supporting all these charities and supporting all these projects to speak out as a health professional, as a pharmacist, as a Chinese medicine student, to speak about that issue, because I really see that if we look after our periods well, then we will have so much less problems down the track when women wanted to get pregnant, or women start to have women's health issues. So we really need to address this, to openly talk about this, and educate how we can protect ourselves and nourish ourselves when we bleed, before we bleed and after we bleed. And because of the shame and stigma, we don't talk about period openly. We don't talk about the menstrual cycle openly. It's very difficult to educate, to prevent disease from a public health point of view as well. I'm also an educator. First of all, I educate pharmacists, that I let them know that they need to take time to find their vision, find the central drive, identify the core values, your strengths and weaknesses, your personality, and your why, and write down everything you want to do if anything is possible. And often we display a herd mentality by following the crowd, or just because we can, or we may be attracted to jobs, status, or our profession affords us, or the enticing salary, or just because we're naturally smart, we do really well at school and we get this degree, and that's the only path that we leads to. But to live a life without regrets and have work life we love, and we need to look beyond these factors and determine first whether we know our central vision and drive, then even a choice of career forms with this vision. So have the vision first, and then find out ways to integrate all your dreams, all your passion together in your career path. Second thing, I educate. So I mentioned about Chinese medicine, mentioned about period pride, education about period women's health. As part of my Chinese medicine degree, I read a lot of classic literature. I came across this famous Chinese medicine doctor, Zhang Zhongjing. His famous book and famous quote is, He said people impaired their health in the process of pursuing fame, power, and wealth. And people are well presented exteriorly, but internally or interior badly injured. He said people are easy to get external pathogens. And also, he said people simply just rely on praying, end up dying, and not actually learn more about their health, bring more awareness to their health. Which is really interesting. This quote really resonates with me even till today. And so many of us want to get ahead, have goals and dreams, material things, the fame, power, and wealth, that we neglect our own health. We become less aware of our emotions, less aware of our body. Yeah, and then we tend to neglect our own needs and forget that we actually need self-care, need time for ourselves to reflect, relax, rewind.
Have you ever heard the quote that's similar?
I think, which quote?
I think it's something about men will spend all their money trying to regain their health after they've spent all their health trying to gain money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which part of that quote goes first, but what you had just mentioned by the other author sounded similar, and I thought I'd bring it up. You have this brand that you're building, and it is the brand of the Chinese Medicine Pharmacist, correct? The Chinese Medicine Pharmacist. So can you tell me a little bit about that? What phase are you in? Are you a student? Are you practicing? What's going on with that?
Yeah, great question. So I'm still pursuing my Master of Chinese Medicine degree. Next year, when I graduate, and be able to practice fully as a Doctor of Chinese Medicine practitioner. Right now, I focus on a lot about education. Also, at the same time, I'm a holistic health coach and life coach. So I use the East and Western medicine philosophy as well as my coaching methods to help women one-on-one, the holistic view of life. So I use tools to find out their state of health as well as emotion levels, understand their physical health, emotional, financial, relationship, career, creativity, environment, family history. See everything. We are a whole person. We can't just discuss physical health alone without understanding what they're stressed about and their life goals and their vision, what they really want in life. So I have all these tools to help women to identify their emotional, mental, or physical blocks and help them to find out why the goals and different areas in life, their purpose, what drives them, and then address the mind and body connection and to help teach them to be more aware. So increase the level of emotional intelligence, aware of their emotions, know how to regulate their emotions at different times, and how to stay motivated. And when you know your passion, your purpose, how to drive that and stay motivated, but not to get burnt out. At the same time, help them to be aware of their social relationship and how to manage that in a social setting. So that's emotional intelligence. At the same time, in traditional Chinese medicine, in the theory that emotions and physical health are intimately connected. If you feel sad or nervous tension or anger, worry, fear, overwork, each of these associated with particular organ in the body. So while I'm not practicing physically as a acupuncturist or Chinese herb practitioner, as a Chinese medicine doctor, I'll be able to address all these theories through my holistic health coaching methods. Just an example, if you're really irritable and express anger all the time, it can affect the liver and results in menstrual pain or headaches, dizziness, or dry mouth. Vice versa, if your liver is damaged, you will display a lot more of the anger, irritability characteristics. And emotions such as fear, weak willpower, can isolation affects kidney qi, which is the vital energy of the kidney organ. So, and this organ is for sustaining life, responsible for reproduction, growth, and development. So these are some examples from Chinese medicine philosophy point of view to address the mind and body connection.
I have to ask, because I'm a voice actor as well, what do you recommend for the voice? You were just talking about kidneys and liver before that. Is there anything in Chinese medicine that helps with the health of the voice?
Yeah. So functional voice, there's herbs, the drinks that you can actually have. I only know the Chinese name 胖大海. You can boil them in hot water and then drink. That will soothe your throat. We're talking about a lot of cause. So there's emotional cause of the voice, whether you are able to have a voice, speak up and stand up for yourself using a voice. That's the emotional, mental side of the exercise we can explore, as well as there's qi, balance of qi. So in Chinese medicine, our goal is to achieve the balance of what. If your qi is weaker, you're imbalanced, you tend to have less of a weaker voice. But if your qi is balanced, you are nourished, then you have a stronger voice and more fuller voice with power. That's just a very simple example without getting into much detail of the theory. Because in Chinese medicine, there's so much different theories involved. And there's 5 element theory, yin yang theory, and there's organ theory. There's so much more. So yeah, I was going to leave at that. But yes, so does that answer your question?
That does answer my question. Thank you for taking the time to explain that. I wasn't sure if that's something you had covered yet in your formal training. You mentioned that you're finishing up your master's program. Do you have to do a doctorate after that to be a Chinese medicine doctor or no?
So this course is for health professional only. So once I finish this master degree, I'll become a doctor and I get registered. I'll become a doctor of Chinese medicine practitioner. So practice as a doctor of Chinese medicine. But I'll pursue, so I can do a PhD after to specialize in certain areas.
Is that part of your plan?
Yes, that I've actually been thinking about this and try to understand which area that I'm really passionate about, and talking to mentors and professors actively to understand, have a bigger picture of problems that I wanted to solve.
With that in mind, that you want to get a PhD after your master's, let me ask you, who's your ideal client once you become an independent practitioner?
At the moment, I can only see that I love working with women because I am one myself. I've gone through the journey. I wasn't not confident. I had lots of fear in my life. I was raised in a really strict academic based family. I had a lot of belief installed into me, both the traditional Chinese side as well as from the West side. So I've come a long way working with coaches, working with Chinese medicine practitioners, working with a hypnotherapist, and working with just a range of different health professionals addressing emotion as well as physical health. So I want to start with and then there's so many issues within women's health, so many categories that I can address within the women's health. So if I say now that I want to mainly help women to restore that confidence and then be able to work and live their life happy and healthier and remove those mental blocks and those beliefs that we hold on to so tightly, as well as giving the input from a physical health point of view, using the Chinese medicine as well as my Western medicine training.
That sounds like an interesting ideal client. Women who are interested in self-development. Is that what you're basically after?
Yes. Good summary.
All right, terrific.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to understand because Chinese medicine is uncommon here in the United States, at least where I live here in Ohio. So I find it very interesting to understand the educational process and then once you graduate, who you would like to work with. So thank you for sharing your motivation with me.
Thank you.
Now tell me, how did this all get started? I mean, you shared that you want to help women who are interested in helping themselves, but how did you get interested in Chinese medicine?
I was born and raised in a fourth-generation medical family in Shanghai, China. I moved to Australia when I was 15 years old. And my great-grandfather was a Chinese medicine specialist and one of the founders of traditional Chinese medicine tertiary teaching hospital in Shanghai. And both my grandfather and great-uncle completed PhD in Western medicine in the US and Japan, become a professor of medicine and surgeon, respectively. And my dad followed the great-grandfather's training in traditional Chinese medicine while attending Western medical school. And so my whole life, I know about Chinese medicine as well as Western medicine. They used to not argue, but debate about certain topics during family gathering. So from early on, I learned about both and have an understanding of both worlds. Chinese medicine follows a holistic approach, emphasizing on the importance of our lifestyle. So growing up, I learned which seasonal vegetables to consume, which acupressure points to press when I'm experiencing pain, and what temperature of water to drink at what time. So the foundation of the traditional medicine stem from the principle that mental, physical well-being are intertwined. And then in turn, the practitioner believe that optimal health occurs by balancing a person's qi, which is vital essence, with the contrast of force of yin, which is passive, and yang, active, and 5 elements of fire, water, earth, wood, and metal. And the goal of Chinese medicine is to strive for longevity, vitality, and freedom in the individual. And I've seen so many Chinese medicine doctors, my great-grandfather's colleague and students, live to their 90s as centurions, full of strength and health and burdened by disease, including my great-grandfather. So I was always really curious, why, how did they do that? And then I realized prevention and balance is an integral part of Chinese medicine. So I really want to understand more my heritage and understand more, deeply from the Chinese medicine point of view and follow my great-grandfather's footsteps.
I'm sure they would all be very proud of you, don't you think?
Yeah, thank you. I think they're delighted. At least my dad is delighted that I'm meant to start to get into Moxa, playing with needles and learn about theory, asking him questions about different herbs, asking him questions from both Western medicine understanding as well as Chinese medicine understanding. Yeah.
Now, are you learning acupuncture too?
Yes, I'm majoring in acupuncture at the moment. So this is my needles.
Wow, I am looking at several needles and they are not small. Wow, those are long.
These are for certain parts that you need deeper insertion, but other parts, like on your hand, so you just need a small one. But the actual size, the needle itself is really fine. So it's the length that Kim is referring to. It can be long. For, say, on the butt, you need deeper because there's all the fat tissue layers.
I know all about that. No, thank you for sharing that with me, though. I don't think I've ever seen him that close up. We are using Skype for our conversation, and she is showing me these packages of needles that look to be 2 or 3 inches long, but like she said, they're very fine. It almost reminds me of, It's not it's not as big as a sewing needle at all, but there's a color at the very back of it where she would grip it with her fingers. And I myself have never had acupuncture done upon me. Have you, Allie?
Yes. Well, I go to acupuncturist visits every week, and I get Tuina. Tuina is Chinese medicine terms of massage, but Tuina specifically press on acupressure points along the meridians, not just massage, loosen the muscle, but actually pressing on the acupressure point to help to move the qi and blood, help with the circulation, move along. One thing, when you talk about the size, so here is 50 millimeters, a 0.25 gauge times 50 millimeters, and 0.2 times 30 millimeters for pharmacists out there or medical professional that are interested in the actual size of it.
Now, what are two conditions that someone would go to an acupuncturist to get help with?
I see very commonly for people will not be able to sleep very well, very tired, stressed. Acupuncture can help you to relax and bring that into balance, help you to sleep better. There's other conditions like women come in for cold hands and feet. That can help you. So I actually had an example on Friday. I saw a lady, she came back this week, said, yeah, my hands are all warm, my feet are warm, and I feel a lot better. And with more energy as well. There's lots of different applications for using acupuncture. But these are stress is very common now, everyday life. So a lot of people come in for better sleep and relaxation for the stress level.
I've got to ask, I know that you're not into chiropractic, but is chiropractic common in Australia as well?
Yeah, it is common. Yeah, and a lot of doctor of chiropractor actually study Chinese medicine or acupuncture. We have a few in our class. So it is very interesting that in our Master of Chinese Medicine class, we have emergency consultants, and we have GP or family practitioner, family doctor, and we have physiotherapist, and we have nurses, and OT, naturopath. You're from all different aspects of health care team. So it is very interesting to study with all of them and understand from different practitioners' perspective.
Very cool. Let's talk about how you use your voice on social media. You seem to be everywhere. Can you tell me how you use your voice on social media?
Yeah. So I've started a channel called the Pharmacy Entrepreneur TV, as well as turns into a Pharmacy Entrepreneur podcast. I interview successful pharmacy entrepreneurs from different parts of the world, as well as now interview entrepreneurs in different areas, especially in tech or business world, to help pharmacists to have better understanding other industries and other entrepreneurs out there. And I believe, so motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously said, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And as a retail community pharmacist or hospital pharmacist, working 40 hours a week, up to only 4 weeks holidays per year, we're not likely to have energy or time to network or to meet successful pharmacy entrepreneurs, to surround ourselves with like-minded or growth-minded people, and to be inspired, to be motivated. So I want to help pharmacists to solve that problem. And I want to be surrounded with growth-minded, like-minded individual, entrepreneurial, pharmacy entrepreneurs. So I started to interview all these successful people and learn from them, as well as sharing from with my colleagues and people in my network. So far, we have pharmacists from 15 countries around the world within our global pharmacy entrepreneur community, and they all come from different disciplines of pharmacy. There are a lot of professors in our group, hospital pharmacist, community pharmacist, industry pharmacist, government pharmacists working for the government, regulatory, or pharmacy entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, or just innovative pharmacists have ideas and want to turn their ideas into business and create either product, service, or a system to help the community. So, but even though we all come from different parts of the world and different aspects of pharmacy, we all have the common theme, common goal, that we're all innovative and we all have growth. We're all growth minded. That we all wanted to learn from each other, want to collaborate, and want to build something and make the world a better place. And it's really exciting to be in that community and meet people like-minded like you, Kim. That's such an inspirational channel, and I loved your voice, how you use your voice and your why. Yeah, so thank you for spending your time, chatting with me and putting your effort, your talent, your voice into the Pharmacist's Voice channel. So thank you.
My pleasure. And it's fun getting to know you. The listeners won't know this, but we met yesterday via Zoom just to have a little pre-interview and get to know each other. And it was fun. Yeah, it's really neat getting to know pharmacy entrepreneurs from around the globe.
Yeah. I'm a huge believer and fan of building networks, building relationship-based networks rather than transaction-based networks. So it doesn't matter where we are, it's the relationship that we build. I understand that it will take time, but that's how we grow. We help each other from different emotional level, help each other with different tips, help each other. Entrepreneur journey is a lonely road. It's so easy to be stuck in our own little bubble and work on that thing we try to work on. Especially pharmacists are we're perfectionists, have the trait of being perfectionist or very detailed. So by talking to our colleagues and just bounce ideas, someone can bounce ideas with, or even if we hit a low point and just pick each other's up, help each other with our own experience, that really help us to collaborate and build relationship. So yeah, I can see this win-win situation happening. So, I've been loving spending time and talking and connecting with fellow pharmacists like you, Kim.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to be connected. And for anyone listening who doesn't know all your social media channels, you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, anything else? Pinterest?
Haven't put much work on Pinterest, but
Okay.
That's a good idea. And also, recently we had our social media Q&A session. At ex-pharmacist Darren came into our group and gave us a free social media Q&A, and he talked about TikTok and how pharmacists need to take on that space and start to talk to people on TikTok. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's the next thing.
Well, good luck. If you get on there, I don't know if I'll be able to follow you because I don't have TikTok, but I will put your social media links in the show notes. Anybody listening that wants to check out Allie Xu's social media links, check them out in the show notes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, do you feel like you're accomplishing everything that you set out to do with your social media?
There's always work in progress. I'm learning every day. But I see social media as a platform that I can serve. I can create content to provide value to people watch my channel. I think at the end of the day, doesn't, I can do million things, but my heart and my purpose is really to serve and to love and bring value to those who I can help. So using my talent, my creativity, and also my special take of the world from a Chinese medicine pharmacist point of view. Yeah, so and yeah, and it's a platform that I can connect, network with others. It's like my extended arm that I'm physically live in Brisbane, Australia, but I can talk to people around the globe and people can see my work through the social media platform.
Absolutely. Everything that you advocate for and educate for, you can put it right there on your social media and it brings awareness. When I saw you had started this period pride movement, I looked at it and thought, well, what's this about? I like Allie Xu. Let's see what she's saying. And I read it, and it brought some awareness to me that there are some people out there who have a harder time talking about periods than others. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I would not have known that or looked unless we had been connected. I think mission accomplished. You're doing a lot of great things on social media, bringing awareness to topics that need to be discussed and educating people about things that your unique perspective lends expertise to. You're doing great, Allie.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. Yeah, so for everybody out there who want to connect with us, also stand up for pure shame, hashtag pure pride in your post to support your girls, your granddaughter, your daughter, your girlfriends. And for the boys and men out there, support your wife, support your girlfriend, support your daughter. Hashtag pure prides. And give women space when they bleed. And be kind and gentle to them when they're grumpy, and when they're upset, and when they're teary. It's part of the process being a woman. So thank you in advance for helping us and use the hashtag pure pride.
Good message. Thank you for sharing that. Well, we're almost ready to wrap this up. I just have to ask, since you're so busy being a student and a student practitioner, do you work anywhere as a pharmacist? I mean, what's a typical week for you?
I still work in the community pharmacy once a week, physically working in the pharmacy, but I still see myself working as a pharmacist other days of the week, online consulting, or meeting people, giving advice. I think I'm very creative in many ways, so I like to experiment, but everything I've experimented with is all around the same theme, around love and kindness, emotional intelligence is be kind to yourself, self-care, and also a women's health around period pride. All my message is, or the things I study, it's all around mental health and physical health, emotional health. And I love the concept of being holistic, the holistic way of living. So yeah, and connecting with people. I spend a lot of time connecting with people, appointments to meet like-minded individual, because I really can see that when I connect with people from different areas and even different industries can really benefit our pharmacists in our global community. Again, big advocate for networking to help others to grow. If I can see someone can help you, or you can help someone else, I will introduce you. It comes naturally. I'm a natural connector, and I love being in that space, connecting people, bring value to people, and find a collaboration and win-win situation. Yeah, and I can really see that pharmacists in our community are helping each other. When pharmacists first have their first channel opening or first episode, they're welcome to advertise on our platform, Global Pharmacy Entrepreneur platform. They will celebrate with them that congratulations, you have your first episode. Congratulations, you have your idea of the business you want to do. All the times when pharmacists are stuck and they have a question, then welcome to put on the platform so other pharmacists can share their wisdom and their experience with you. So I much like to bring that culture into our community. Often this world can be cutthroat. We all know that cutthroat corporate culture. We want to bring love and kindness and collaboration into our community and pay it forward to help the young generation pharmacy students who are looking and learning about what the pharmacy profession is like, that our materials or our conversation can help them shed some light, that they can do something different other than the traditional roles being a pharmacist.
Great message. I agree. Allie, for anyone listening who hasn't checked out your YouTube channel or your Facebook group yet, I just want to make sure I put those names out there. The YouTube channel is called Pharmacy Entrepreneur TV, and the Facebook group is called Global Pharmacy Entrepreneurs. If anyone wants to get in touch with you to advertise their very first podcast or a YouTube channel or anything that they're doing on your social media as well, how do they get in touch with you?
They can find me on Facebook, search Allie Xu, Allie Xu, or on LinkedIn, you can message me with the same name. My email address is Allie, ALLIEXU @ALLIEXU.com.
Thanks for sharing that. Is there anything you'd like to share before we wrap this up?
I think a message is be kind. Be kind to yourself and be kind to those around you.
Those are great parting words. Thank you so much for being on the Pharmacist Voice podcast, Allie. Have a great summer.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you for joining me for episode 31 of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Please visit thepharmacistvoice.com to subscribe and read the show notes. That's thepharmacist with an S, voice.com.